You're just funny. It's funny, the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how?
Come here, though. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Are you ready?
Man, this is crazy. We're in such a strange time right now, and it's definitely worth talking about for sure. Because no matter who you voted for, I mean, there's 50% of the population, or more or less, depending on what count you look at. There's going to be a portion of the population that's going to be upset about the decision of who the president is. But I just think it's so funny how we the way we treat each other during this time, and we let politics dictate how we react, how we talk to people, and really run our lives. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm wearing a robe right now because, especially with COVID, this is normally how I walk around. Me and the wife pretty much just wear robes all day, every day, even when we're working, unless we have a virtual meeting. So I figured it'd be fitting that I wear this because here we are going into a time to where the president-elect has been decided, and that is Biden and Harris. And, I did not vote Democrat. I voted Republican for quite some time, typically because I believe in more of their policies and the rights versus what the Democrats believe. Although I don't agree with a lot of what Republicans believe in. For instance, I strongly believe in climate change and that we need to do something to protect our Earth. I'm not a religious person. Typically, most Republicans are. But, I think that that's what's so interesting about politics. And as I've become older and I immersed myself more into politics, I've realized that politics is stupid. Voting is important because it's a right that we have that a lot of countries don't have. But the idea of having just two parties is very crazy. And I don't think a lot of us think about that enough. I even posted something on Facebook, which, as we know, apparently is the political cesspool, especially when it comes to the president. But, social media as a whole, if you post something on there and it's either left or right, you get criticized by the other side. And, even one of my buddies posted something saying that I'm realizing now during the election who my friends are. And that's why I had to do this podcast. That's fucking crazy. And he's not the only one. So I don't want to call him out on it, but there's a lot of people that I'm sure that have said that. I know who my friends are now. What? What are we doing here, folks? What are you doing? What are you thinking? You know who your friends are? Why? Because they voted for Biden or they voted for Trump? You're letting an ideology dictate on who you talk to instead of actually thinking to yourself, that person might actually have the correct view, or that person might just have voted for that person because they didn't like the other person. Like, if you're thinking that about your friends and you're just one person, imagine what the rest of the country is thinking. If we have half the country thinking that, where we're not going to be friends with a person because of who they vote for, that's the reason why our country is fucked up. It's not fucked up because of a celebrity apprentice. It's not fucked up because of a reality TV show guy. It's not fucked up because of a guy that can barely get through an entire sentence unless he's drugged up. That's Biden, by the way, because he can barely talk. Trump's an idiot. Trump's not the president we want. He's not our savior. Biden's not our savior. Harris is not our savior. The next person that gets elected president in another 4 years, that person's not our savior either. The fact that we think that one person can change our country makes us the stupidest country in the world. I just don't. I feel like I'm in a Twilight Zone show I feel like I talk about this a lot, and I have for years, and still people believe in this system that we have. You know, the only reason I vote, and I think it's important to vote, is because that's the only system we have right now. But I think we've shown time and time again that us as a country, we are so powerful to make change. And on the other side of this lens, you think the change needs to come from one side or the other. Well, just so you know, there was only one side years ago. There was only a Democratic Party. Then someone thought it was a great idea to start another party, the Republican Party. We have the ability to change the country. Stop settling for this two-party system. It's a popularity contest. And now with social media, you know, you look at what happened with Trump, and he got elected. He obviously got elected because, you know, we wanted something radical, and the large amount of the population voted for him. So on the Democratic side, for 4 years, this poor crazy bastard was told that he was a Russian spy, which ended up not being true. Got blamed for COVID, which of course is not true. And for 4 years, the media and social media as a whole, and all the news stations, aside from maybe one or two, blasted him for 4 years. Now, rightfully so, because he's a whack. He could have easily won this election if he just stopped tweeting crazy stuff and stopped saying things that were nuts and stopped doing crazy dances. He probably could have won. But the fact that the entire country was against him, guys, no matter who the president is it fair to say that we probably shouldn't be talking so much shit about him? No matter what, we shouldn't be talking shit about the president of the United States. If you believe in our system and you believe that your vote matters, then you shouldn't be talking shit. For example, if Biden ends up winning the election, all the Republicans, if they went on every single news station and every single social media publication and they just made up a bunch of bullshit about Biden and started talking shit, whether it was true or not, if they're just bashing Biden for 4 years, how is our country going to get any better? And you're probably asking yourself, well, they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't be bashing Biden for 4 years. That's crazy. But that's what we did with Trump. Now, again, did he deserve some of those bashings? 100%. But there was a lot, like being a Russian spy, that turned it out being just bullshit. And the other party just fed us that bullshit. And half the population that voted for Trump, you start kind of questioning things. You know, you start, the media and social media, you start questioning when you start seeing these memes and these stories. And so the fact that we think social media can't influence an election, or mass media can't influence an election, the fact that we deny that, we are stupid. Because the proof is in the pudding. Just look around. Look around what's happening. Right in the beginning, I started this podcast saying my friends aren't talking to their other friends because of who they vote for. That is dividing the country. And the only reason that's happening is because of social media. So we need to wake up, folks. We need to understand that. We need to understand two things. This type of two-party system we have is bullshit, because I strongly believe it is. I don't think that's democracy. You know, democracy is letting us choose, right? Well, we only have two choices. So if I tell my wife, hey, you know what? I'm a good husband. I'm going to let you choose where we go to dinner. And she goes, oh, really? Thank you. You're a great husband. And I go, oh, yeah, but keep in mind, you can only choose vegan stuff or vegan stuff. She's not going to be happy with that. That is not democracy. We're only choosing one or the other? What? This thing needs to be a buffet. You know, this is our country we're talking about here. The fact that we have to choose from one side to the other is crazy. And the fact that it's only 4 years is even more crazier. Because, you know, Trump did what he could for 4 years. And now that's probably going to get reversed if Biden is elected. So again, we're going to do this. Because remember, we did this with Obama, right? 8 years of Obama, which, you know, Very lucky he got 8 years of that. That's exciting. But then most of the stuff he did, Trump reversed. And whether you believe it or not, I believe a lot of the stuff was positive that Trump did in the White House, not publicly, because most of the stuff that he said and did was stupid. But in terms of policy, if you look at the White House's website and see what policies that he put into place, more often than not, I think you would agree with it. And then you say to yourself, well, maybe the White House just put that bullshit on there. Maybe that's not all true. Okay, so you're telling me that what the White House put on the White House website is not true? Just do the research yourself. Look at the policies. Most of the policies were good. It helped America. Just like when Obama was in office, I'm sure most of the stuff, that he believed was going to help America could end up helping America. But then through time, we realized that maybe some of the stuff didn't necessarily help America, and that's why we are allowed to elect change. But the fact that we only have two parties to choose from. So if I'm voted Republican, which I did, I don't believe in a lot of the stuff Republicans do. I just have to bite the bullet. And I have to choose that side. But what if I believe some of the stuff the Democrats do? Because I do. But I don't like most of the stuff they do. So I end up choosing Republican. That doesn't seem fair, does it? I mean, if we're a true democracy and we truly believe that we can choose who leads our country, why do we only have to choose between two cats? My perfect solution would be we need to elect leaders, not a leader, not one person. I think we need to elect multiple people that are smart in different subjects, not just a popularity contest, because that's all this is, right? The reason we voted for Trump was because A, we knew him, B, he wasn't a politician. I mean, C, we just kind of wanted something a little bit different. We didn't want a politician, and then we got him, and then we realized that it's also good to have a politician because you want someone representing our country, properly, right? You want him traveling around the world, representing us in a good way, not being laughed at. And there was a lot of stuff that he did that, other countries I'm sure laughed at. But also too, if you read between the lines, he was able to get into North Korea and actually sit down and have a conversation with a dictator. And, if you dive more into that, and I'll let you do your own research, but no presidents can do that. I mean, that's a big deal. So the fact that we're getting in that direction is kind of a good thing, because sometimes other countries and other leaders in those countries, they don't want a politician. They want a grassroots type of guy. So that's why a guy like Obama couldn't go in and talk to, Kim Jong-un. I mean, it's because he didn't want a politician. He wanted just an average Joe type of guy. There's good and bad from that, right? So we kind of have to find that middle. But I think it's more important that we talk about, why can't we get to a point to where we can have multiple presidents, and not even call them presidents. We need to have just experts, almost like a United Nations, but for our country. And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of things that the president will get elected for. So, we vote on Biden or Trump or whoever the candidates are. We vote on them for their ideas, right? But when they go in to the presidency and they hop into the White House, they cannot just change laws. It has to go through Senate and Congress. And most of the time it gets retracted and rejected. And that's because of the blue and the red. If there's more Democrats in the Senate or the Congress, they're going to obviously follow those views more. Well, what if we eliminated all that? What if we decided that that's a stupid way to do things? What if we stripped the blue and the red? What if we told these folks, hey, listen, you're only going to go and change these laws and make these a law based off these facts. And what are the facts? Well, let's go to our experts. And the experts would be the quote unquote presidents. And let's put the power back in the White House, meaning let's decide, okay, we got to have let's call it 7 dudes, 7 guys and gals that are in the White House that are living together with their families, and they're experts in different fields. So maybe there's a, world expert, and that person studies, climate change and how we're treating, the earth based off what we do. So, how we're spending money, they're the business specialist, but they're also the person that looks out to make sure we're not impacting the environment across the world. Maybe there's one person there. Then maybe there's a scientist. Maybe there's one guy that studies, I don't know, fucking science. It ain't me, obviously. I'm stupid. But, maybe there's another dude that focuses on law enforcement, right? And military. And you're like, hold on, Tony. What are you, crazy? There's a Secretary of State. There's a Department of Defense. There's folks that do this. Yes, there is. And those people report to the president. But the problem is, if the president doesn't agree to it, the other people can dictate whether or not we need to, change anything or keep something the same. The president is not the final say so. And that's the problem. We need to have someone that's in the top, and it's a group of people that are smart and experts in the field. The fact that we elect one person every 4 years to make all these decisions, and decisions that they don't know about. The problem is every president every 4 years is always preaching to us, let's make America great. Let's build back better. Let's change. For the past decade, you and I have fell for this shit. We fell for America is not good. America's divided. America's the worst. Folks, let me let you in on a little secret. And I'm surprised I'm the only one that's maybe saying this, and maybe you guys are, but I'm not hearing it. America's just fine. There's bad people in America. There always will be. You and I are the only ones that could dictate that. The reason the riots happened and the reason why there was protesters for George Floyd was because there was a stupid ass cop that made a horrible decision and he killed an innocent man. Whether or not that person was a criminal is irrelevant. We shouldn't be going around killing people, especially if you're in law enforcement. You shouldn't be abusing that power. But the reason there was riots and revolts was because a certain amount of people demanded change. But that's not in blame because of the president here, folks. This was not Trump's fault. Just like if something goes down in another 4 years, and if Biden's the president, it won't be his fault. When 9/11 happened, it wasn't the president's fault. Right? Bush was in office. It's not his fault. Each president is forced to make these tough decisions. You might ask yourself, well, did Trump handle COVID properly? Who's to say? We've never had this happen before. He made the best decision he thought possible, and he listened to some of the experts. But my point is, though, the problem is these experts are stupid. You don't get to elect these experts. The Republican Party or the Democrat Party gets to. That is not democracy. And we're falling for it. We're falling for the blue and the red, the hard left and the hard right, the conservatives and the liberals. We're falling for that shit here, folks. Wake up. You don't have control over anything. The only thing you have control over is how you live your life on a daily basis. And if you can take care of your community and your family, and you're a good person, and you treat the people to the right and the left of you, and you treat them like they're humans, and you treat them fairly, that's how our country is going to get better. Our country is not going to get better because of one dude. I think we've realized that time and time again. Our founding fathers, they could not predict that 330 million Americans would be living in the USA in 2020. That means one person has the pressure and has to decide what to do to make all of us happy. Think about that. That is crazy. And remember, it was not that long ago. What is that, 300 years? Yeah, 300 years ago? 300 years ago, a group of people got together and said, hey, you know what? We should write up this thing called the Declaration of Independence. That was 3 people ago, folks. So if a group of people got together and decided that, why can't all 330 million of us get together and say, hey, you know what? Let's change the system. I think we all could agree that the important things that we want in this country is education for children and education for the military and law enforcement. Because if you have someone breaking into your house, you want that person to come that's going to be unbiased, that's going to protect you and your family. And you also want those people to save your life. If something goes down, you want a great, well-trained law enforcement officer to come to your home. So we need to invest into training and to policing the police, not defunding, not reallocating. We need to put more money into those cats. Just like the reason why our children are not growing up good is because our teachers don't get paid enough. There's folks at McDonald's and fast food chains that get paid like shit. So when your order comes out wrong, it's because they don't care, because they don't get paid enough. Money incentivizes people. If you pay that dude a lot of money at the fast food store, I guarantee you're never going to fuck up your order. They won't fuck it up because they want to get paid. They want money. They want a good, stable job. Well, teachers, you can't expect them to go in and deal with a bunch of asshole kids if they're not getting paid enough. We need to invest more money into them, just like in law enforcement and the military. We need to put more money into those folks. Also, we need to regulate colleges. There's a lot of colleges out there that our kids are going to go to and that we've gone to that aren't giving us the proper education. But what's even more interesting is college debt is the only debt that won't eradicate over time. So if you go to the hospital and you don't have insurance and you just got charged with a $50,000 bill, in about 7 or 8 years, that's going to be wiped from your credit. You're not going to have to pay that. The college debt will actually go to you until the day you die, and then it will carry over to your children. A college debt, which is a private company. If you go to Harvard, you're going to spend more money than if you go to a community college. Does that mean the professors are smarter at Harvard? Or at Harvard, excuse me? Yeah, maybe. But why? Why do I get a better education if I have more money? Isn't that just set up for failure? What we need to do is we need to figure out how to stop giving all these colleges so much fucking power. We need to demand that as U.S. citizens. It's not fair. It's not fair that if my kid raises up to be poor and not have money, that he can't go to a nice college or any college. And I don't even believe in college, if I'm being honest. I hate college. I think it's stupid. I think it's a waste of money. But I think it's a waste of money because of how it's treated now. I have tons of friends that end up spending hundreds and thousands of dollars for all these different degrees that end up just working basic jobs, making them 50 grand a year, that are living paycheck to paycheck. I think we need to do more background checks overall with law enforcement, with us, getting guns as American citizens. I think it's a privilege. I think it's a right. We need to focus a little bit more on that as well. And then I think we need to figure out a way to make money in this country. We're in debt. And because of that, we owe other countries a lot of money. So we need to figure out a way to spend less money to stop the bleeding. And I think it's pretty simple, right? I mean, you end up having all these different companies like sponsor the Super Bowl and, sponsor these big events. Why can't we have these companies sponsor our roads and our bridges? I think, I forget who it was. I think it was Andrew Yang or something proposed a very exciting idea that I thought was interesting. And of course, he wasn't in line to be a president, but he had some great ideas. And one of them was, why don't we get companies to sponsor our bridges? Instead of having the George Washington Bridge, why don't we have the Verizon Wireless Bridge? That's not a bad idea. Can't we do that with roads? Can't we do that with buildings? Can't we do that and save money to cut back on construction costs? And if those companies don't want to do it, then guess what? We don't need that bridge. We need to figure out a different way. But the fact that we hemorrhage so much money to build these things when we don't need to be going to these larger communities. We don't need to drive from city to city to city to city. The only reason we do that is because we can. The bridges exist. But we're spending so much money maintaining those bridges. Why don't we sell those bridges to private companies? Instead of doing that with colleges, why don't we do it with shit we actually use all the time? And then also I think the governors and the mayors, I think that's fucking crazy. The fact that every single state and city can do pretty much whatever they want. I think we need to change that system, and we need to have our governors and mayors report to the presidents, plural, right? Those multiple presidents. It needs to be run like a business. And those are the managers, right? The owner is the presidents, and the managers are the governors and mayors. The fact that every single city and every single state can decide what they want to do is madness. I think we all need to agree on what's fair, and we all need to vote on what's fair, that each state runs it a certain way. So that way, if, I don't know, if you want to drink alcohol, all you have to do, if you live in a county that's dry, is go to the next county. Then why even have a law if you could just take an hour drive and get beer and come back? It's crazy. Lastly, global warming is real, man. It's going to be changes in temperature all the time. We just got to figure out what is our impact to that environment, and we need to stop it. We need to change. We need to look at different alternatives. There's places like Netherlands and some other great countries that are doing some incredible things. So I think we need to look into those. And then, we need to take care of the rainforest. We really need to focus on that. It's part of our earth, and it's very important, and we need to take care of it. We're stuck in these systems that are hundreds of years old, and we don't want to change that. We think that one person is going to change the world or the country. That's not the case. We can. You and I can. We just got to wake up, be objective, stop thinking one side is better than the other, because we get to decide how the country ends up. And is this what you want the country to be? We can decide.